What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we got a fun one for you, one that isn't controversial whatsoever, but one that this is a topic that I think is kind of fun, and it's been something that's happened before, and that's talking about the universes of Uncharted and The Last of Us, how they are the same. And I've always found this fun. I've always found this interesting, really ever since it was first done back in Uncharted 3, which I just thought back then was like the coolest thing around, right? So obviously we know that there's that one Easter egg found in The Last of Us where you could watch like that full TV report, basically, if you do basically the right steps early on in the game. I believe that same person now has found an Easter egg in The Last of Us Part 2 that again says that it is part of the exact same universe as Uncharted. So again, just a kind of a fun thing, a kind of a different thing for you guys today, kind of end the day and the 3 videos of the day with something more fun. Let me say this before we get too far in. Make sure, as always, if you guys want me to do more of this kind of stuff, because this stuff does pop up, it's just I don't tend to cover it, make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on so you know all these videos go up. And if you haven't followed me on Twitter, I know I'm begging. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys followed me over on Twitter. Podcast Now 15. The link for that's in the description. You can also look me up on Twitter. Obviously, we're about 20 people away from 2,000 followers. Would love to hit that. We can do it in a day or two if we get enough people. So please, if you have a Twitter and you haven't followed me, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so I want to go back down memory lane first to talk about that Uncharted 3 one. So remember the Uncharted 3 when they're in the bar in the beginning of the game and they're fighting. Once the fight is over and you have to leave, you can also look at, there's a newspaper on the actual, stand, and it talks about basically the cordyceps, infection that's going around. I think it's talking about a hospitalization. So you can see that like it's starting, and and obviously, okay, they can't be, right? I don't think that's even possible, because if Uncharted 3 there was a newspaper saying that it was beginning, then by the time we got to Uncharted 4, and definitely by the time we get to the ending of Uncharted 4, which is like easily like a 10-year jump at the least, probably maybe a little bit more. Actually, I don't remember, did they say the year? It's around 10 years. Obviously, the world would be completely destroyed. So obviously, it's not exactly in the same universe, but they continue to bounce these Easter eggs. So this one, you can find a pharmacy, and it's called Weston Pharmacy. It can be found actually in 2 different places. In The Last of Us Left Behind, obviously with Ellie and Riley, and then also in The Last of Us Part 2 during the Seraphites chapter. And I'm reading this off of Dual Shockers, by the way. They found this, or I guess they found the guy who found this. As Ellie makes her way to the hospital, Weston's Pharmacy is an optional location, and when found, Ellie can open a safe inside the pharmacy that holds a safe full of goodies, and you can see it. And this is the exact same pharmacy that was in Uncharted. When you're doing the flashbacks, when you're doing a brother's Drake and the older lady, right, that's in that house that you had to break into, or you wanted to break into, I guess, she takes pills for her condition from Weston Pharmacy. Now, actually, technically, there could just be in these 2 universes, there could just be 2 pharmacies called Weston. Somebody named Weston, or their last name is Weston. They created it. So, again, it's a small thing. It's a fun little thing. I love it when games do this. I really do. I talk about games and developers that respect the legacy that they themselves. I mean, it's not even like they're respecting somebody else's work. I mean, obviously that you can do that, and that's completely fine. And that's also cool to see, right? When maybe something that influenced you, or a developer, or a specific game that influenced you, like that's awesome. Even an example like in Death Stranding, how you can find the long neck, the one that you can when you're on top of it, you can see the map and horizon, how like that appears in the game. Like that is just a really cool thing, and that's kind of just out of like admiration from like both of them kind of admire each other, right? So like that's cool to see. But I do like it when developers look back at their own history. I talk a lot about anniversaries on this channel, right? Like, can they announce a new game, and not for like Uncharted The Last of Us, but just in general, like how much does a company care all that much about the anniversary of one of their products? And so to see something like this, I like it. I really like it. I think actually in The Last of Us, there was a bar called like Sullivan, something like that. So like Victor Sullivan from Uncharted. So they are very aware of each other, obviously, because it's kind of the same teams making them. So it's just cool to see. I mean, when Uncharted 3 came out and that I remember now Uncharted 3 came out, and I don't think they had announced because that came out in November, and then I think November 11th, 2011. That was a fantastic year for games, by the way. And then December of that year is when, at the Game Awards, they announced The Last of Us. And I remember them saying that they were kind of worried that people would put it all together before the Game Awards, and some people kind of got close because Uncharted released, a full month earlier. But I do remember looking at that newspaper and not really thinking anything of it, and then when people kind of put it together, it was like, holy dear Jesus, like that is a really cool thing. And so, and again, like the Sullivan Bar in The Last of Us, and now this in The Last of Us Part 2. Something that I would never have been able to find. I don't think anybody. In fact, it took them 8 months to find this. So obviously it wasn't something that really stuck out all that much, right? It's kind of just the name of a pharmacy. But really, really cool. Another thing just to kind of show that, if you want to go so far into lore and like fan fiction that you want to put these universes together, that's completely fine. Again, to kind of derail that conversation, they can't be, because Uncharted 4's ending takes place probably like 13, 14, 15 years after that newspaper in Uncharted 3, and the world would have been absolutely done for at that point. So cool to think about, but and obviously there's not much more you can say after that. So let me know, guys, in the comments below. Maybe there's a story like this with other games. Have you ever experienced this with other games before, kind of referencing each other and the same developer? Let me know. As always, make sure, again, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, so you know when all these videos go up. Again, if you have a Twitter and you haven't followed me, Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter handle. Would love to have you guys over there. Let me know if you want me to do more of these kind of videos, and I hope to see you all on the next one.